Good morning. Oh, come on. Good morning. Good morning. All right, listen. This is one of those days when I was a high school kid. I used to love these days, right? Because everybody's like, oh, we get to get out of the classroom. You know, I ain't got to do all this stuff, whatever, right? So it's just a different way of teaching today, all right? It's an opportunity to learn something different, something new. And it's never too early to have these conversations. So just to give you a little background, my name's Elliot Davis. I am a Lompoc alumni, okay? I graduated Lompoc in 1997, okay? All right, easy, all right? It's been a little while. But one thing that I love to be able to do is come back to speak to kids who are at where I'm at, who've kind of been through the things that I went through, who understand the struggles, and kids that I understand their struggles. It's very important to me that I get to talk to you all today. All right, so the number one thing that's important is that you listen, okay? Everything I say might not be for you, and that's okay. 100% okay. Some of it might go over your head. Some of it you might want to ask a question later about. Like, that's all good, all right? But my biggest thing for me, and I've taught for over 15 years. I was in the classroom. I was an administrator, so I've seen it all. I worked here for 8 years as an educator, so I understand what's going on. But the one thing I always operate with is respect. The best way you can show me respect and the other people in this room respect is to listen and to keep it down, be quiet, okay? Now, when I'm in the classroom, I was a little different, okay? Cell phones don't bother me, all right? So if this is not necessarily for you and you're sitting there quietly on your phone, it doesn't really move me like that. Teachers might feel different, and I will always defer to the teachers because this is their class. You're their students, all right? But my priority is that you're quiet. Do not let somebody miss the message because you don't want to receive the message. All right? Now, you will gain something from this. All right? We're going to speak a little about mental health. Hopefully, we'll get some encouragement. I'll share a little bit of my story, my struggles, and hopefully it touches your heart. All right? Somebody spoke to me about this years ago. I went through some personal things that made me invest the time in my mental health. And so now I'm thankful and appreciative that I could come back to my high school and help kids hopefully do the same. All right, so who knows anything by show of hands, quietly? Anybody know what mental health is? All right, kid-wise, student-wise. Yes, what is it, young lady?
Me?
Yes, you.
Mental health is just how you feel.
Yes, in short, right? How you feel, how you act, also how you respond to like stress. Okay, so can somebody name like a mental health disorder? Anybody name one? Yeah. Depression, big one. Louder, you can speak it up. You don't have to raise your hand, speak it. Anxiety, right? And then you also have like PTSD. We'll just start with those, okay? So me personally, I live with anxiety, depression, and PTSD, all right? Some of it stems from my childhood. Some of it stems from my time in the military as a combat veteran, and a lot of different things, you know. So it wasn't until later after I started receiving help that I learned, like I had been dealing with these things a lot longer than I was willing to recognize, okay? Now, there's a difference, okay? You can be depressed, but it not necessarily mean you have depression, okay? You can be anxious, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have anxiety. Okay? But it's understanding the two that will help you grow and help you do better. All right? And so hopefully today you learn some things that will help that. All right? Me personally, I've been suffering from depression probably since early teens. Something I've been dealing with. And like many of you, I walked around this campus happy, smiling. Everything looked great. And I was good at basketball. It was, hey, man, he's a good player. The stat had an older brother who was really good at football. I got a lot of love. But honestly, I wasn't that happy. I was struggling. All right, I was the clown. I was the joke. Everything was funny, right? Sounds funny, feels funny. But the reality was it wasn't. I didn't know how to express nothing. I didn't know how to speak anything. I didn't know I can go to somebody. Now, in my generation, I'm sure some of these teachers can tell you the same thing. And I was talking to some young ladies earlier. It wasn't about your feelings. It was about getting it done. Like, what are you crying for? What are you down about? Do what you need to do. Stop whining. Suck it up. Does that sound familiar to anybody in here? Can anybody identify with that? I'm sure you can, right? Now, at that time, that was just the way. That was the way things went. So we suppress, right? We deny ourselves because that's what we're told. Now, is it our parents telling us these things because they don't care? No, it's not. It's just the way they knew how. And it shows you how deeply sometimes trauma can be rooted, all right? You have a history of people who suppress things, and then you raise kids who learn to do the same. And all we're doing is sending a lot more hurt kids into the world to raise more hurt kids. And then we worry and wonder why we have a society the way we do. So while you might laugh and chuckle, some of you want to laugh and joke, this ain't no joking matter. This is real. There are kids your age and younger who aren't making it to another day because they can't deal with what's going on. And they have succumbed to the things that are happening in their mind and their heart and their bodies. And so the goal is a lot of you walk out of here feeling better today, feeling encouraged. Hopefully you feel like you have support. You have a great support on this campus. You have a wellness center. You got great counselors, great staff. I know you have a great administration. I worked with Miss Pico when I was here. She has great people around her, and she's great about helping you all. But if nothing else, you take seriously, you have to take serious your mental health. Because if your mind's not in order, everything else will not be in order as well. It's not going to work. So like I said, when I was here, I was that kid. I looked great, right? I looked happy. I looked like I was having fun. I really did. But like I struggled every day. I was just telling a story to some other day. I said, when I was a senior in high school and I was the captain of the basketball team and, starting point guard and all area and all these great accolades and these things I got, the moment it was over, I was relieved. Because I was struggling and I was trying to carry a weight. I didn't know how and I couldn't ask for help. And something I loved to do, which was basketball, that was kind of my place of release, I was just happy to be done with it. And honestly, I just isolated for a long time. And even as an adult, I still isolate. And some of you in here know exactly what I'm talking about. You kind of just fade into the background. Don't want to be bothered. Stop answering phone calls, text messages, leaving people on red, on open, all that stuff you do. Because you're just done. Not ever really understanding like I can go get some help. Now, is it an easy thing to do to ask somebody to help me? No, because in order to get help, you have to be vulnerable. I have to show somebody I'm hurting. And a lot of you don't want to show somebody, hey, I'm not doing good, because you think it's a sign of weakness. But it's not. 100% false, right? I don't care what anybody tells you. I will argue with anybody about that anytime, on anybody's behalf. The strongest thing you can do is say, I need help. Now me, it took me till I was 35 to finally really say, hey, I need some help. And it took something very catastrophic in my life to happen before I did that. Now, was it to me? No, but it affected me because it's somebody I love. And I had a brother about 8 years ago now who decided one day that he just couldn't do it anymore. He didn't want to live anymore. And so he made a choice to take his own life. And the reality is, hardest thing I've ever dealt with, more than anything else. Hurts to this day. It'll never be the same. I have to deal with the pain. I have to watch my family, my parents, who have to bury their child, who parents shouldn't have to do that. And I have to live the rest of my life with that thing. And it hurts every day. And so when I look at all these faces, you can learn to see through the stuff, man. Like, don't play with yourself, with your mind. Stop playing that game. Because nobody in here wants to get to the point where you can't continue. I wouldn't want to see that. You are loved, you're appreciated, whether you know it or not. If you don't think nobody cares about you, I do. Okay? And I'm not saying that because I'm up here. I'm saying that because I wholeheartedly mean it. If you need me, I will be available. Outside of the people who are on this campus, you will always have support. And like I said, I'm telling you, it will be the most rewarding thing you do. Don't give up on yourself. Don't quit. I promise you, it will be hard days. And some of you are sitting here looking around right now like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. Mr. Davis, I can't do it. Yes, you can. Because 100% of the hard days that you've been through thus far, you've made it through. Why stop now? But don't fool yourself by not getting the help and support you need. Now, help and support can be discouraging, right? Like I was a guy, like I said, I was in the military. I was in Okinawa, Japan. And I'm 21, 22 years old. I finally decided like, hey man, I need to go get some help. I'm struggling. And I go to an officer in charge. Say, hey man, what's going on? I'm struggling. And he just says, I think you should just pray about it, you'll be all right. Now, is there some truth in that? Yes, maybe so. But I needed more than that. And he didn't give it to me. And so it fueled me in a way that just wasn't healthy. Now, me, when I was younger, my mental health would manifest itself in anger. Right? So I was the guy who you said something to me, you try to crack a joke at me. I was the guy that was going to try to run the fade with you. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a gangster. None of that stuff. I was raised well. 2 parents that are amazing. But my issues were my issues. And so when I was upset or I couldn't deal with things, it always came out in an angry way. I was snappy at people, a lot of heavy cursing, a lot of things, a lot of disrespect because I just didn't care. Now the reality was I wasn't mad at anybody but myself. But I wasn't big enough to own that. And a lot of you can relate. You're in class, right? You're talking. Teacher says, hey, stop talking. And now you're mad at the teacher. You're really not. You're embarrassed a little bit because you got put on the spot, right? Nobody likes that. But it only happened because you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing. But we don't want to own that. And so with mental health, it's the same thing. A lot of people are struggling because they don't want to own their stuff. And once you own it, once you accept it, it's freeing. Like it does so much. Like I can tell you, hey man, I got anxiety, I got depression, I got PTSD. What you gonna do? What you gonna tell me that I'm gonna care about, that's gonna bother me about that? You gonna tell somebody else? That's fine, I told you. Care? The last thing on my mind is how you feel about it. Because I need to take care of me. I can't count on nobody else to take care of me. I count on people to support me. Right? Like we have family, we have friends, our friend group, whoever, we get that support. Like we get care. The reality is sometimes we don't get it from the ones we think, and that hurts. But it's there. And I know what happens in that office. I know there's a lot of kids who walk in those doors who are struggling, who need that help. Some of you are sitting in here right now. And I know a lot of you guys need help. A lot of you young ladies need help, and that's fine. But like, stop hiding behind it. You're not hurting anyone but yourself. Like, you have to learn how to live. And so it's like a realization that you have to accept as a young person, right? The real truth, all right? This is just the reality, right? Accept this, and this is not a harsh thing. This is not a mean thing. This is not a knock on anybody or anything. The reality is this. Most of the people around you don't care about you. Okay? And I'm not saying this as a knock on anybody. Most of the people do not care about you. It's not because they're mean or hateful or angry. It's because they're dealing with their own stuff. So it's hard to help somebody if I'm dealing with my own stuff. Now, I can help now. I'm in a better place to help because I'm learning to help me. And through helping myself, I've learned how to help others. But at the end of the day, people go into survival mode. They freak out. So it's like, hey, I'm going through stuff. My best friend's going through stuff. Oh, I'm a cave. I got to do what I got to do. I got to take care of me. I got to figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you should take care of you first. And so you need to learn to stand on your own too. And I'm not saying don't accept help. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is learn to take care of what you need to take care of for yourself. You're no good to anyone until you're good to you, right? It's like my mom used to always say, how you going to make somebody else happy if you ain't happy? I'm going to say that again. How are you going to make someone else happy if you're not happy? In short term, yeah, you could probably shed a little light on some people. You can. But like, you can't sustain that because you can't sustain yourself. And so it all comes to taking care of you. It all comes to doing what you have to do to take care of yourself, to put yourself in a better position. Because the goal is not just to exist, right? I don't want to see anybody here in existence. The goal is to live. So like, how many of you, and you just think about it, some of you think about it. You go home, parents are at home, they go work their job, they come home, get your dinner cooked, whatever, you go to bed. Next day you go to school, they go do the same thing. Right? And then they repeat the cycle. They repeat the cycle every day. I get up, I go to work, come home, take care of my kids, go to bed, get up, go to work, weekend comes, I have a day off, rest, recover, whatever. Then I'm back to it. That's not living. Right? And so the goal is you are all in a great position. You're in a better position than kids were, than ever was when I was growing up. Because like I said at the beginning, when I came up, it was don't talk about it, do what you got to do. We ain't got time for that. Your kids actually get to have resources. School psychologists, wellness centers, they put a lot in place to work on mental health. And that is a blessing. That's a great thing. Beautiful thing. One of the best things that could ever happen was that they did that for you all. But there is a balance. Okay? So my generation, we were all go. Right? Good or bad day, tears, no tears, whatever, hurting, not hurting, you push. Your generation, a lot of you just stop. Right? Like when something breaks down, it's like, I can't, I'm done. Right? And that's not where we want to be. And so I don't need you to be like my generation and deny it. But the goal is, let's work on it, and then let's keep going. Like, we don't need to tap out. All right? We need to take a moment to, like, figure out what's going on, figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and then we keep pushing. Right? So, like, anxiety is the perfect example. And some of you in here will identify with this very well. All right? Because let's say you're running late. Right? School starts at 8 o'clock. Man, my alarm didn't go off, right? Now, most of us, reality is we probably didn't set it, or maybe we set it for PM, not AM, whatever. We're not going to be honest, though. We just going to be like, my alarm didn't go off. That's at least it's an excuse we're going to tell the office. My alarm didn't go off. But now you're panicking. You're running. You're rushing to school. You get here, you get to the office, you're late, you got an attitude, and then you're like, oh, I got a test, right? I got to do this, and I got to turn this assignment in. And you start losing it, you start going out of control. Right? Like your mind just starts going, right? And in that moment, and anybody with anxiety knows, I always say anxiety is like asking yourself 1,000 questions that you're trying to answer all 1,000 at the same time. And so we don't know how to reel it in that moment. But the reality is like, just stop. Like, just take a second. Take a breath. Breathe. What do I need to do in this moment? Nothing. Give me a second. Now, one thing I know about Lompoc, they care. Like, they really care. It's one thing I love about home. And I've taught at other schools. I taught at St. Joseph. I worked at schools, other places. Like, I always tell people, like, what is it about Lompoc? I'm like, it's home. They love you. So when you say I need a moment, they're going to give you a moment because they want the best version of you. Right? So it's like, let me take a minute. Let me step back. Let me just breathe. And then, okay, what do I have to do right now? Right? So like I said, I don't want you to be, you're not my generation. It's not let's just go, because you're going to mess up a million more things. No, let's stop for a second. Let's breathe. Let's figure some things out. And then we're going to keep pushing. And then when I get a moment, the difference is for you kids is that when you get a moment, you get a chance to reflect, and hopefully you do some diving in about like what led up to those moments. Now me, I always say the time thing because like I'm a time person. Like I coach basketball, I've coached track, coached multiple sports. And the one way to upset Coach Davis is to be late. Like I'm always early, maybe it's the military, like I like to be 15, 20 minutes early to stuff. But like I don't like late because my anxiety will start going. All right, it'll start ramping up. And like I said, anxiety opens up the door for anger, frustration, and then people get conversations from me that they don't deserve. And so I've learned to pull back and just say, give me a second. Like I'm just trying to bring it down. But then I get back to it. And so the goal is for you to keep going, right? Take a minute, figure it out, and then let's push through. Take a minute, figure it out, push through. We don't want to stop. We want to take a moment to stop, right? But we want to continue to go. Because the thing with mental health, and especially a lot of it, right? I deal with a lot of young people all the time. A lot of young people, right? So, oh, Mr. Davis had depression. Mr. Davis have anxiety. Mr. Davis, I have PTSD or something else, right? Like you have these things that are affecting you, right? But yes, that's something that's affecting you, but it's also not your crutch not to do. And so it's not an excuse not to perform. It's a reason for me to make an adjustment so I can continue to perform. So nobody wants to deny you what you're dealing with. I would never deny you the mental health things that you're dealing with. I would never tell you, I don't care about your PTSD or none of that. I'm going to just say, hey, how can we work with you to deal with this so we can continue to execute our job? That is the goal. But you have to fight for what you want. And so mental health is something you live with. It's not something that defeats you. It's not something that has to break you. It's not something you can't get through. It's something you can 100% deal with. So you're looking at me now to somebody who learned to deal with. I go to therapy. I've done group counseling. I've done all that stuff to give myself a chance to live the life that I want to. And honestly, at my age, I'm just starting to. So the goal is if you all can get there early, now, how much better will you live? If you actually invest the real time in your mental health now, how much greater will the rewards be when you're my age or even earlier than I? Don't let something catastrophic happen before you decide to make a change. Don't wait till it's in the worst place possible to make a change, to do something different. Take the time to do what you need to do now. And you will obey the benefits. Now, I get it. A lot of y'all, especially with the guys, y'all too cool for it. Y'all too tough for that. That don't mean nothing to me, man. That tough guy stuff don't work. It sounds good now. You might think it's cool. It ain't going to run you nowhere to a bad place. Ladies, same thing. It's an act. It's a facade. You think you're cool? That's clown stuff, man. I'm telling you now. Nobody rocking with that. So stop thinking you need to do what's cool to fit in and start doing things that benefit your life. Start doing things that's going to help you live better. Everybody got different reasons for how to grow up. You are not responsible for what you were raised into. You didn't get to choose that. You didn't get to choose your family. You didn't get to choose how great. You didn't get to choose how bad. You didn't get to choose any of that. Right? You were just born into something. And that's not something I would ever ask a kid to change. Unless there were things going on in the home that we had to get a kid out of there, we have to work with what's going on. And it sucks when a mom or a dad or a grandparent or somebody who's supposed to love you and care about you doesn't. Because that's not how it's supposed to go. You didn't ask to be born. They chose to have you. And so a lot of you don't get that support sometimes. But it doesn't mean that's your undoing. Like, it doesn't mean that's the end. It doesn't mean you can't have all the things you want. Do you have more challenges than some people? Absolutely right. No doubt. It's hard. It's going to suck. Absolutely. But it doesn't have to be your undoing. So like I said, if I can leave you with something, right? Like, because a lot of kids that I talk to, especially when they're graduating and it dawns on them, it's that they realize, I wish I wouldn't have spent my years in high school living in the popularity contest and actually doing the things I needed to do. Cool is overrated. Popularity is even way more overrated than that. It ain't worth the headache you will cause yourself to try to maintain that. And the reality is, most of you living in that space are trying to be cool, trying to be popular. You're not even being true to yourself. And so the kids I always admire in high school are the kids who kind of just do them. And they might get labeled as the weird kids or whatever. But it's usually those kids go do okay because they were just comfortable being themselves. They wasn't worrying about who was laughing, who was talking, who was joking. It doesn't matter. So like I said, especially when you're a freshman. Freshman, you always got a ton of energy. I get it, like you're a freshman. It's always a ton of energy as freshmen, right? We're learning, we're adjusting to the high school life, right? Aha, everything's ha-ha, kiki, funny. And then one day it dawns on you, hey, the stuff that Mr. Davis was saying was real. Right? So laugh now if you want. But pay the consequences for your lack of responsibility and listening to the education and information that was given to you. Because I promise you, what I'm saying will come back. And I hope that you've learned something that will help you start a journey that will change something for you. Because like I said at the beginning, nothing that I'm saying up here, I'm playing with. This is real. Like the journey in mental health that I've had to succumb and work through was hard. And it's never not a challenge. It's still difficult. I still have days where I wake up struggling. I have PTSD. I have nightmares. There's still things I work through that I have to learn to talk about. I can't talk about everything yet. But I'm still learning to do those things. I won't quit on myself or my wife, my family. Like I owe it to me to do what I need to do. Before I owe anybody else, I owe myself. So like a lot of you have struggles. Some of you may feel like you don't, and that's fine too. But there will come a time where you do have struggles. And so you need to take advantage of the opportunities you have now. The most powerful thing you have is this. Because I say if you take care of this, the rest of the body will follow. All right? So I think that's about much of my time. I wanted to save a little time. Does anybody have any questions? All right, pertaining to this, if you got any kind of life question, anything you want to ask, this is the time to actually do that. Any questions, anybody? All right, well, thank you all. I appreciate it. Teachers, thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're too kind. You look like you got a question. Like, no, no. Like, please, no, Mr. Davis. No, no, no. Hey, man. Hey, you four. You four. Come here, all four of y'all. Come on, all four of y'all, man. What's so funny over here, man? So what y'all laughing at over here, man? Y'all making fun of me, man?
No.
I'll just mess with you guys.
I didn't get sleep last night because
That's
I
all
was
good.
doing homework.
It's all good. I don't never get sleep most times, so I get it. It's all good. I appreciate y'all though, man. Like I said, laughing, joking, man. Y'all not zombies, man. Be kids. I just hopefully y'all receive something, man. You know what I mean? It really
I
means
was still
something.
paying attention.
No, I think y'all were. Y'all good.
I want to say thank you.
Oh, no problem, man.
Jason Cox, I graduated here in 2001.
Yeah. You okay? I was like,
Baseball coach,
no, you
yeah.
film. Yeah, man. How you doing?
Doing well.
Good, man. Yeah, no, I always like the opportunity to come back and
Yeah.
share a little bit with each other.
For the presentation.
Oh, thank you, man. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a learning experience. But,
Yeah.
these freshmen, you know.
Oh no, it's freshmen. You just gotta. It's part of it. Like I'll tell them. Typically, seniors are always a little more ready because they're like, "Oh, I'm about to really go into the real world."
yeah.
But like, you gotta plant the seeds.
And I saw there's one sitting here. What year did you graduate?
97.
So Nolan Dark.
Yes.
That was little Nolan Dark.
Oh,
Sitting
okay.
Right there in the middle with the
Yeah.
And we've already been having this
Okay.
conversations and stuff like that. And hoping that's one that
Yeah, we can kind of.
broke
Yeah,
down
take a little bit.
with it,
And that's person actually I know them well. So
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Kyle,
Yeah, my guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, me and Kyle worked here together.
Yeah. This is Haley.
How you doing, Haley? Yeah, I was talking to her about her sweatshirt earlier. I was like, I like it. Thank you. Did you enjoy it? Was it okay? Good. Thank you.
For me, you want to ask Elliot?
I just want to ask if it's not fair for parents to credit their kids for self-harm.
Put your kids through what? Say it one more time.
Is it not fair for parents to credit their kids for self-harm?
For a cell phone?
For self-harm?
Self-harm? No, I wouldn't punish a child for self-harm, right? I think that's a conversation that I would want to have with my child about like, what can we do to help you with that, right? Because we don't want that to continue, okay? So I would say what you have to understand is a lot of times parents they don't know how to handle it, and so they do make mistakes. Sit down.
I'm scared to tell you guys because they thought they're gonna get responsible and taken away from my family.
Okay, for self-harm? Well, I don't think you're in fear of being taken away from your family from self-harm. But okay. Yeah, no, okay. So definitely, so what we want to do, right? So when's the last time that you self-harmed? Has it been a while? April? Okay, so it's been a little while. So that means we got a little distance. So that's again. So have things been better since the last time? Okay. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to be able to talk about what's going on, right? So that's why, like I was saying, I need you to we need to talk to your teachers here, we talk to your friends and family, your loved ones, so that we can kind of support you, so that you won't have to. Okay. So we want to get you help, right? And you have somebody here great who will help you. And we're going to see this through. So, you know, we're definitely going to support you through it. And we're going to help you, okay?
I'm scared that if I tell them right now, anyone about
Well, I understand that. And most kids are worried about that, right? Nobody wants to get in trouble. But, you know, I think the bigger picture is that more than that, I need you to be safe, right? So I care about you more than I'm worried about them being upset, all right? I'd rather you be safe and okay. They'll be all right? Like they would be more upset because they don't want to be embarrassed. They think that something's going to happen to them when nothing's going to happen to them if you're self-harming. We're trying to help you not do that anymore, right? And help you feel better so you don't feel the need to. So it's important that we have the right conversation with them. And I think with the staff and administration, having the conversation, it will help your parents deal with it in a safer and better way for you. Okay?
Extremely brave of you to be able
Yes, absolutely amazing. So glad that you were able to come and say something. That's a big deal. You should be very, you should smile because that's big. That's important. All right. I'm very proud of you for that. All right. Okay. Let me talk to him real quick. Haley.
Haley.
Hey, nice to meet you, Haley. So yeah, we probably just need to
Ray.
follow up with whoever's in charge of that. Just get a report of that.
Perfect.
And then
Yeah, I'll document it on my
yeah. So we'll just do that.